And welcome to Mindset Monday. I'm Shelley Butler.
I'm Yves Doucet.
Yes, and
Hmm.
here we are,
Here we are.
the end of January.
Yes.
We've made it almost an entire month of 2025.
Yes.
As we settle into 2025, how you feeling?
Well, this camera makes me feel really good because I have less wrinkles. So
Yeah,
I feel really good.
even I
I
were
touch
just
I touch my forehead and I think, that's very young skin.
even I were just commenting, what the heck is this filter? Because we feel fantastic. Maybe that's why we're so excited to come in every Monday morning because this filter is fabulous.
I don't know. I know why I'm excited to come every morning because I get
Oh,
to see you.
I
I get to meet
know.
you. We
I
had
feel the same.
coffee this morning. Somebody
I
told
feel
me
the
I should
same.
run for prime minister or prime premier,
Yes.
and I said no.
Somebody said the next
The sex
premier.
premier of New Brunswick.
Can you
We
imagine?
have a good one. I think we're good for that for a
I think
while.
we
Mhm.
are. I think we are. I think we do
Yeah.
have a good one.
First woman uh, premier, right? In New Brunswick? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think she is doing a good job.
Yeah, I think so. Mm.
Everybody that is in a leadership position is going to get their fingers pointed at them. They're going to get their fingers wagged at them. They're going,
Wigged?
right?
What? Wigged? Wagged.
Wagged, wagging
Okay.
that finger
Wagging?
at you, right? So everybody's a critic, right? When it comes to leadership. Leadership has a really bad name, right? And it's getting a worse name as we kind of carry on into 2025. We're seeing leadership being kind of, you know what? I put in this many hours and so should you. I work this hard and so should
Yeah, it's
you.
always comparing yeah, we're always comparing against another person.
Always
It's
comparing.
comparing. I
Yeah.
should do I do this, so you should do that too. Because the way I have succeeded, or I know I have the answer.
Yeah.
I do this in my life. I
Yeah.
work out, or I go whatever. I pray, or I do yoga.
You should do that
You should
too.
do that. I do yoga. You should do yoga. It's the only way to heal.
Yeah. Or I also find that people have that in their
Oh,
thoughts,
God.
right? To be Eve's friend, I have to do yoga. To be in
Is that why nobody comes doing yoga with me?
to be that's not true. To be
I'm
enlightened
just joking.
with Eve, I have to do what he does. So
Oh yeah, it's true though. People like I think like that. In order to find a solution, I have to be like that person. We put that person. I've done that. I put people on pedestal in the past,
oh yeah.
and you've taught me that. Like it's like everybody's a human being. There's 8 billion beliefs out there, 8 billion ways to succeed, 8 billion ways to live, right?
Yeah.
And that's what we're here to live. It's waking up excited every single morning. This morning I was excited because like for a couple of things, but one is I get to have coffee with you, and that's exciting for me.
Me
And it
too.
wasn't about Monday. I love doing Monday, our mind shift Monday,
Yeah.
mindset Monday.
Mine's
Sorry, mind shift Monday.
Eve has a
Uh,
mind shift
so
Facebook post. It's like,
mindset Monday. I
yeah.
love doing that with you, but I also love having coffee, and we talk about all sorts of things. And
Yeah.
yeah, it like sets my day for sure. Yeah.
And I'm the same, having a best friend that you can say anything to and them not wagging their finger at you or not pointing at you in disgust or
Mm.
shaming and blaming you for your thoughts is something that I believe that everybody should have. I think that everybody should find somebody that they completely trust, that
Mm.
they completely believe in. I often would say, Eve would say, like, I need you to do something. And I'm like, yes, I've got my costume, right? My disguise and the shovel is in the trunk. Like, I'm here for you. What do we need to do? So, leadership isn't about managing people. I think that we got into this really weird thing that when you became a manager, you became something. And then this word manage, like as if people can manage other people. Like it's just a fallacy.
Well, the fallacy for me, like where I get to is I think John Adams said, and I think before John Adams, Seneca said it, so 2,000 years
You're
ago,
right. Yeah.
right? What John Adams said is like the best leaders know themselves. So if you don't understand why you're thinking the way you're thinking, why you're stuck in your mindset. In other words, that you have the answer. You don't even see your thoughts. You don't see your drama. You don't see your emotions. You don't see that. When you can't be responsible for your own way of thinking and you don't take steps in doing that and you don't understand it, how can you ever understand someone else?
Yeah.
So like management it's a weird to me, it's a weird word. It's not leadership whatsoever. It's like control. Management is about control. Leadership is about understanding who you are. And then when you understand who you are, you have actually a kinder way to see the other person because you see the other person saying, "Oh, he or she is a human being. He or she's doing something that I can see myself like judging that person. I can see myself that I'm stuck in my own way. I'm not discovering." Now, like I have a two webinars this week about it's regarding how to do a startup. So I've been
Hmm.
coaching people do startups. I've started a lot of companies.
Hmm.
I've failed a lot of times. I've learned a lot of things. And the one thing I've learned, the reason that we get stuck as leaders, businesses, and even individuals is we don't see our thoughts. So we get stuck in our way of being and we keep hoping that something else, we're like working harder and harder and harder is going to give us more results. And it doesn't because we're stuck in our heads, right? We're just
Yeah.
stuck in our knowing and nothing changes. And then we get into suffering, we get into blaming, we get into comparison, we get into attack. We have this divisive
Divisiveness.
world,
Yeah.
divisiveness in the world, right?
Yeah, we
Like
do.
it's like you talk about politics. I had a post on politics. It was a post about a pastor who was kind, right? It
The
said, "Hey,
bishop. Yeah, the bishop
the
who
bishop,
spoke at Trump's
not a pastor, a bishop."
yeah, she was the
And
bishop.
oh
Bishop,
my
she's the
God, you
bishop.
should see the divisive,
The
and most of the
divisiveness
divisive,
on your feed.
and most of these people are all people of faith. They're arguing about their own faith. I'm thinking, okay, well, like, right? You're stuck in your knowing.
Well,
My faith is
it
better than your faith.
it wasn't a
My
political debate at all.
my
It was
faith
a
is better.
religious
My
debate,
faith is better than your faith. I like that.
right? It's absolutely crazy. But what do they say is the number one problem in this world? And this is going
I
to
don't know.
be
What is it?
controversial. Religion.
Oh,
People will talk about hate. People will talk about, war. People will talk about, but
I don't agree with that.
oh, I do.
I think the number one problem in this world is beliefs, which is faith.
Which is
Faith, right? But however, if you don't have a faith, you have a belief.
who was on there arguing.
Like all arguments, all your arguments, every argument you have, every trigger you have comes from a belief that you have about yourself, that the other person doesn't have a belief. Like just think of any argument, political, religion, or even like whether or not it's the right path to take. Because we have that debate inside of Dovico, which path to take.
Oh yeah,
Okay, and it creates angst and triggers and anger and and dissociation and divisions because of beliefs,
definitely.
right? It's the
Definitely.
beliefs.
It
That's what I
it
think.
is definitely the beliefs, but interesting enough, what was happening on your feed
Okay,
over the bishop
the
was
bishop, bishop. Yes,
highly religious people questioning your faith.
yeah. I never said I had faith, or what my. I shouldn't say that. I never said what my faith was. All I said was,
The courage
that
of this bishop,
the
yes.
courage of that bishop to stand up to the most powerful men in the world and say, "Hey, can you be kind?" That's
Yeah.
all she said. Can you be kind? Could you have mercy?
Yeah.
I thought that was a kind act. It wasn't confrontational. It wasn't speeching. It said, "Hey, can you consider having mercy on the less fortunate?" I think that's like an awakening to the mind. What does he do? Well, he hits her and it's predictable because he's not conscious of his thoughts. I don't think that's leadership. I think that's management. And we're
Well,
talking about the wrong things.
yeah, we are. We are. Woo, controversy. Okay.
But this is where we get stuck. We get stuck on I have the answer and you don't. And then when people don't follow you, you start managing them. And then you start yelling at them. And that's how war starts.
Absolutely. Because you are so wound up in your faith, your beliefs, that you can't see anybody else's worldview.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
to simply say, yeah, Eve, I saw that as kindness as well.
Yeah, that's all I was asking. Do you
Right?
see it as
It
kindness?
was it was so interesting. So if you're on Eve's friend group, you should go and have a look at that because that feed was eye-opening to me, absolutely eye-opening. And it made me see people in a different light. And I absolutely love that. In no way, shape, or form am I judging anybody that
That's not.
spoke or weighed in on that feed. To tell you the honest truth, I don't judge anybody on it. I love the fact that you can be open and honest. But when you're so sure about yourself, be very careful. Be very, very careful how you proceed
Mm,
because that surety, right, makes you put yourself on some kind of weird pedestal. And I tell you,
yeah.
this pedestal thing, you put yourself above anybody, you put yourself below anybody, you're in trouble.
Yeah, so that's a comparison state of I work harder than you. We're back to the topic
Yeah.
at hand.
Yeah.
I work better than you. I am the boss. I know more than you. I have more faith than you. My dad can beat your dad, whatever that is, right?
Yeah.
I have more money than you. I have a bigger car than you. I am more pretty than you. I'm younger than you.
Yeah.
Like all of that, like it's judgment. And if we can't see the judgment, then we're stuck in this feeling that
Mm.
we've already had so many times in our lives. And there comes a point in our lives that we say, okay, I've had that feeling. I know where it's going. I don't want to pick that feeling anymore. I want to do another feeling. I was out snowboarding with my grandson. My grandson and I. It's like my grandson is like almost like 5'11" or something. He's not like
Ooh.
he's not a grand kid. Like he's a man, right? He's like going to be 19 on March 19th. So, and the interesting thing is why did I go snowboarding? To have fun, to be playful, to be like a kid, to feel alive.
Hmm.
So I decided to fall. I decided that I would fall. I would be playful at falling, to have fun, just to be in fun. So we went into the woods, like I did some tricks. I had so much fun.
Awesome.
But, like what I was fighting was my guilt that I'm not working hard
Of
enough,
not putting in the
right?
extra
I
hours.
should be texting
Yeah.
Shelley of all of my great ideas I'm having on
Yes.
Sunday afternoon,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Or I should be meditating or whatever I'm
Yeah.
doing. I should be more in yoga.
Because when you're laying on that deathbed, those are going to
Okay.
be your biggest regrets,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Oh, I didn't put on all the hours at work I should have.
I remember, and it's a guilt, right? But
Yeah,
let's play
let's
the
play.
other.
Sorry, Estelle. Oh my gosh, Estelle's trying to play
Oh,
this thing.
and it was Estelle's birthday.
Oh yes,
So happy birthday, Estelle.
happy
And
birthday.
Estelle's been my friend for 24 years,
Estelle has
right?
been with Dovico for half her life.
Half her life, yeah.
Half her life.
Mm.
Can you imagine? Like that is loyalty at its finest, is it not? I mean, wow. And we are so grateful for Estelle. She is producer extraordinaire. She is website, artiste, if you will.
Yeah, go
She
go see the new website
Yeah,
that
go see the new
the team,
website. Wow.
with Estelle, Monica, Gerard, Dion,
Yeah.
they created. It's really
Yeah, it
amazing.
is
Yeah.
a beautiful website, just an amazing. So we want to talk about the real things that happen at work. And we're doing that through the real Veronica. She's on Facebook, Instagram, and she brings together like a series of factual, real things that happen at work. And so since we came back in the 1st of October after our summer hiatus, if you will, we curated a few of these just to weigh in on how we may manage it a little bit differently. So, Estelle, producer extraordinaire, that just had her birthday, if you could play that for us, and we will weigh in as we make funny faces at the audio.
Have you been signing off at 5 p.m. every day? Pardon me? You stop working at 5 every day, I can see your status change. Because my workday ends at 5. No one else signs off so early, I work until 9 p.m. most days. Is there a concern with my work hours? Did you want to shift my hours to start and end a little later? I just think being willing to work only 8 hours a day says a lot about your commitment to this company. Signing off at 5 will have long-term consequences, especially when it comes to promotion. Do you mind if I start recording this call? Why would you do that? I want to ensure that there is no confusion on my end when discussing the consequences of me working within my hours. Or would you prefer to send an email outlining the consequences so I have them on hand for future reference? No, that won't be necessary. I didn't think so. Toodaloo.
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 Yeah. There's another
So,
there's another manager. right? Who is in the comparison game. And are you working as hard as me? And I am going to um, reward or deny you based on my work ethic, not on your delivery, not on your performance. I'm going to base all of my conclusion on my work ethic, not yours.
So like, I want to be clear, and we're going to talk about our personal experience as employees, like and being on the receiving end as well, because now we're not employees. But
Yes,
one of
we
the
are.
things, it's so I have it clear. Sometimes it comes as abrupt like that. Managers will say, "This is my experience anyway." And my personal experience, it didn't come as abrupt. Hey, you have to work longer hours. It was implied. In other words, where were you on Sunday? Why weren't you here? It's implied. So it's not direct, right? So that is also a form of manipulation, a management, right? Why weren't you at the party? Or why didn't you show up for the meeting? Or that kind of thing. That's also a way. So they schedule meetings at 8 o'clock and you start at 9, right? So you can't make it, that kind of thing, right? Or you have a personal time that you decided to do from 8 to 9. We've had that. I've had that. Um, those kind of things. Or they have, the feeling of guilt is there. It can be, it doesn't have to be said, it could be implied. And that's been my experience. My experience is I was feeling guilty of not showing up because it was implied. And Veronica, I have to say, like, she's a mature, I'm going to say, like, she has gone through some trauma or some life some life
Scenarios.
scenarios that allows her to
Yeah.
say, I'm going to choose me,
Yep.
right? I'm going to
Yep.
choose me today. And this wasn't our agreement. Our agreement was this is the hours I'm going to work and this is what I'm going to do. And when I'm here, I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm not playing around. I'm doing my work. And when I'm not here, I'm not here. And but it doesn't need to be, that's my experience. It doesn't need to be said explicitly. It could be, why are you doing that? Why are you doing this other job? Right? You should be focused on, I've had that too. Like I've had that. Why are you working at Dovico while you're working for us? While I'm paying you? Well, I'm not like, I'm working at Dovico, but I'm working at Dovico during the evening or I'm full time working with you guys. Right? But that wasn't enough.
Yeah, and do we need to offer an explanation? If we know that we're doing the job at hand, I think that sometimes we offer these explanations of the work that we do to somebody who's not prepared to listen to that feedback, right? They want to be right. And there's sometimes when it's just a matter of not saying anything, right? In my case, when if I were to get hit like that, right? Shelley, I see you leaving at 5 o'clock every night, right? I would say nothing, right? That is a statement. You are making a statement. Shelley, you're leaving at 5 o'clock every night.
You would say, yep. I know
You
you.
know, and you know what I mean? Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
You would
Absolutely.
not say and. You would say absolutely. That's
I would say
but
absolutely.
but you've been like okay. And you've left companies that have asked. You told me this, right? You've left company that people have asked you like to work more hours and you said no.
I have absolutely.
Yeah.
I have it when you're not being appreciated,
You leave.
I
Yeah.
leave. Yeah.
So this is the thing that I think we have to understand. This boss asking this manager or boss asking this Veronica to work more hours has nothing to do with the work.
In
It
actuality,
ha-
she didn't ask.
it has no.
She didn't ask. What she said was, Veronica, I see you're leaving at 5 o'clock every night.
Oh yes, you're right.
Right. And then she went on to say,
Mhm.
this will, and, Veronica's,
It's the
and,
guilt. Yeah.
it could get in the way of your promotions
Mm.
or your raises.
It's the
So she's
guilt.
setting the
FOMO.
tone, right?
Yeah.
She's setting the tone. So what she's doing is she's making sure that the comparison is the thief of joy, right? So what she's doing is she's pissed because she's putting in all these hours,
Yeah.
right? So she is comparing.
You're saying you should work like me. You should work hard
Well,
like
she
me.
just wants you to be, yeah, she wants you to be her. Now, I've had that here at Dovico. I've had somebody
Yeah.
say,
Mhm.
if I go against Shelley, your thoughts, right,
Yes.
that I
Yeah.
have expressed, I believe that I am going to be not promoted
Judged. Yeah. Yeah.
and not get that raise.
And
To
so
which I explicitly said, if you do not tell me your thoughts, if you sit in silence, you probably will be passed up for the raise and for the
I
promotion.
I have to tell you, to me, it's really hard from a leadership point of view. It's hard to forget. It's really hard to not look at the details and focus on the result. So this took me years to focus on. I'm only focused on results now. Like, is it, is it providing some value? I'm looking at the result. I'm looking at are you on the edge? Are you courageous in what you're doing? I'm looking at those things. I'm less looking at the number of hours. I'm less looking at comparison. Are you working as hard as the other person? I'm looking because, like, if you look at every edge, this is what we learned at Dovico for sure. Every edge or every courage act is different for every single person.
Right? Some people, it's just about turning their damn camera on in a meeting. That's courageous.
Yes.
And you and I will celebrate. Did you see so and so turned their camera on? That was great.
It's courageous for them.
Swear to God, and then for others, it's about speaking up and saying, you know what? I think that your vision is wrong. The alignment is going to be bad for the company. Those are the things that I get impressed with. I love when one of our Dovaconians speak their truth and express their truth. See, the thing is going to bed with that truth that you believe. See, your thoughts are always facts. Your thoughts are always the truth for you.
So this is the thing I think we're missing out, especially now that we're all remotely or we're connected through social media to
Thanks for the
Zoom.
hearts.
What I find is like we don't have conversation with people that so we can discover who they are and what their courage is and what their act is and how they're feeling about things. Well,
Well,
we're not doing that as much as we used to, because we
well,
don't see people.
Well, we don't see people, but what we have is we have this anonymous feedback, right, through Show
Which
Up. So
helps.
we're
Yeah.
really, really fortunate. So we get to see people's, even if it's anonymous, we get to see the flavor of what's happening. See, the thing is it's hard to read the room when nobody's in the room. So
You're reading yourself. Yeah.
yeah, so we have to get really good at if and you and I both know this. If we have a team meeting on Wednesday mornings and if all the cameras are off,
Mm.
you know, mood's probably not great, right? We're
Yeah.
probably
It
not going to talk
happens.
about cash flow.
It happens.
It absolutely happens. It happens in every company. And as a leader, you can read the room, right? We've taken it back a bit. Oh, we're not going to talk about that because it's quite obvious that we're not prepared or we're not ready for that. So going back to the
Veronica. Oh,
manipulation of a
yeah.
leader,
That's totally manipulation. Like
it's total.
the guilt, that the shame that was given to Veronica, or tried to given. Yeah.
All
Yeah.
leaders will try to impress upon you, right? Um, how hard they work.
Yes.
For some reason, leaders, I know when I became CEO and I joined some CEO things because I thought, I should, every CEO wanted to tell me how many hours they worked, right? And it's lonely at the top. And it was just the oddest thing. And I realized then that, oh my gosh, Shelley, you can't come in as that leader, right? You can't come in and expect people to be you. So, how many leaders expect their group to act as they do? I don't want that. I want people to speak their minds. I want people to speak their truths. I want to have that conversation and that discussion. And that's what we have discovered here at Dovico. It's not about one-on-one, that communication one-on-one, because I may not be right. I'm right in my own head. But what we do is we have a conversation together about what the next thing, the next, big thing in our life is going to be, where we're going. We discuss that as a group. We don't have a few people that go into a boardroom and say, this is how we're going to manage these people going forward. It seems to be insane to me. And that's what's happening is these companies are expecting to have these policies and procedures and everybody to adapt to these policies and procedures, just like the school system,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
There's policies and procedures and every child should be reading at this level. right? We believe that all 30 Dovaconians are going to be at this readiness level to take on this new project. Well, it's not the case.
So I'm just going to share this. My discovery about working harder, so what the boss is saying to Veronica to guilt her into working hard is saying, if you don't do that, you'll be skipped over by promotions. You'll be not given the chance.
Yeah.
That, in my personal experience, is not true. What you will be promoted not by the effort you put into it, but by the result that you get,
Yeah.
right? So how do you get result? Well, the result comes from a balanced lifestyle. It comes from actually not working all the time, but focusing on what you're doing to the extent that it is on the edge of something you've never done before. That's when the results are going to come.
Yeah.
When you can get out of your guilty feeling, right? Because if you're guilty, you're not going to have results. You're doing the same thing you've been doing all your life. But if you're doing something that's different, that's on the edge, that's courageous, you will have different results. And if you have different results, you will get promoted. That's what I believe, right?
And I
That's my
absolutely believe
experience,
that.
right?
And that has been my experience as well. Putting the fear of God into the humans that surround you to do the work and
It's
ask them to be creative and innovating and then tell them um, you know, that they're leaving at 5 o'clock,
mm,
right? That's ridiculous.
it is.
It is absolutely ridiculous. And if you are having a hard time, you believe that this old way of leading through guilt and manipulation is the only way because that's all you've seen. See, the thing is I will talk to a lot of leaders and they'll say, "Well, I don't know any other way. This is how I've seen it." And I said, "Absolutely. Absolutely." And it's really hard to shift your personality.
It is just like you've been trained. Like if you've been a leader, that means you've been trained in that way. You lead by telling people what to do. You
Look down on them,
like you look
make them
down
feel
on them, make
guilty,
them feel guilty, make them feel
manipulate them.
manipulate them. You do that.
Yep.
You do that by evaluations. You do that by raises. You do this, and you'll get this. Is like the cheese. Give them the cheese, like
Yep.
the stick, the cheese and the stick there.
Yeah.
The reward
Yeah.
and the stick.
Carrot and stick.
Like that's been around for a long time, and you can't take milk out of a stone. And this is where we are today in the human experience. Like humans need to be treated like humans.
Yeah.
They don't produce well when they're treated like animals.
And we wonder why we have so much anxiety,
Well, that's
so
why.
much stress in the world. It's because we have leadership that doesn't understand the human psyche.
It's
And
because they don't understand themselves, though.
it goes along with the human psyche,
They don't understand the
right?
human psyche, but they're trying. Some people understand human psyche, but they don't apply it to themselves. That's the problem with human
Well,
psyche,
everybody reads the book, right? And
right?
doesn't apply it. Like we've seen, how many times have we seen that? Read the damn book, right? It's like, oh my God, you have
Do
to
the
do the
work.
work.
Do the
You
work. I
know,
always say that. Coke, Pepsi.
Yeah, you got to do the work. Without doing the work, you are just putting yourself in this place of importance. See, the thing is you're a manager or you're a CEO, so you believe because that's your whole life.
Yeah.
The most important person in the room was the manager,
So what do
the
you do?
supervisor, the
What do you do?
CEO.
What do you do to keep your ego in check? Because like Jen
Oh,
said, we were talking about faith. You're right. She's saying we're
it's
not talking
more
about faith. We're talking about ego.
ego.
She's right.
Absolutely.
100%. Yeah.
Every time we edge grace out, ego, we edge grace out. So we have to be so careful. Now at Dovico, we have pillars and practices. We don't have policies and procedures. We have pillars and practices. And we get deep and dirty. I shouldn't say we, because I can't speak for others. I get deep and dirty to them, right? So our practices are no reaction. Of course, you're going to react. You are human. You will react. But can you catch yourself reacting?
That's the thing.
Right?
Can you not
Can you
like
see?
my biggest reaction time was 9 years.
And most of us
Like,
spend years in reaction, right? I used to always yell about my husband. He hates when I talk about him on this thing, but he would, like, that guy that cut him off. I mean, we talked about that a
oh,
year
I
and a
remember
half,
that.
a
Yes.
week and a half later, right? I'm like, if you're still holding on to the guy that cut you off a week and a half ago, we're in trouble. We got some serious
You're living in the
problems.
past.
You are absolutely
You're
living in
not
the
in the moment.
past.
Mhm.
And the thing is you have to understand that your thoughts are 85% negative.
Mm.
95% of those negative thoughts are reoccurring thoughts. So how many times have you thought about the guy in the little Honda Civic that cuts you off. It's way too many times. It's taken up too much of space of your life. So when you realize you're in reaction, it's super it's like so freeing.
You become free.
It is like the most, you're like, oh my God, that's silly reaction kind of thing. So this let them theory is out right now, right? Mel Robbins and the let them theory. And people are just going absolutely nuts on this let them theory. Just let them. So my sister got the book, and my sister will often say things like, just yesterday, we went for a walk. Actually, it was the day before, but this weekend we went for a walk together, snowshoeing, and I was driving to Centennial Park. Now I've lived here, almost all of my life, and she decided to tell me which way to go,
Oh, interesting.
right? And then she looked at me and she went, "Oh, let them." And I said, "Well, no, you could tell me which way to go, right?" But she caught herself really quickly.
Good job.
Right, caught
Yeah.
herself super quickly, and that's what I said to her. That is really half the battle, is catching yourself,
It's
because the
what
thing
you call
is
the reaction, not the turnaround time. Like
it's the
turnaround.
turnaround time. So she realized that whether I went up Edinburgh or whether I went down
Oh, she was
Milner,
giving you directions on the car.
giving me directions.
Got
Like
it.
I've got myself to Centennial Park all kinds of times, but how many times people have been in your car and they're going to tell you how to go,
Okay, got
right?
it.
So interesting enough that is on your mind,
Hmm.
is the directions of how to get there. When the person driving knows exactly how to get there. So those are the type of things that you can let go. You don't have to give instructions to people unless they're asking you of how to get to the end, how to get there. You don't need to do that. Then once she said, "Oh shoot, let them. You can go any way you want, Shell." I turned the way she wanted to. Then she proceeded to say, "In actuality, when I looked it up on the
Mhm.
map, whether you go down Milner
God,
or whether you go down
too much
Edinburgh,
information.
it's the same distance. It's the same amount of time, right?" But it's interesting to me where people's minds go and how they spend their time, right? We could have had such a different conversation. But it's something that I noticed in my mother. So I said to her, "Oh, you know that mom does that as well, right?" Because she complains, right?
Personalities are given to you by your mother and father. Yeah.
Personalities are, so she complains about mom. "Oh my God, like I know how to get there, and mom's always telling me which way to
Become
go
your
and what
mom.
lane to be in and whatnot." And I said, "Mom's done that for years, right?"
Yeah, like our personality is simply a practice. But I want to you said a comment about most of our thoughts are negative. And so this
85%.
85. So this person is talking to Veronica and giving her a negative feedback instead of saying of looking, where are you doing something right? Right. So a way to get that, like you will attract more bees with honey, right?
Absolutely.
Right. So so as a leader, I think it's a I believe it's a better practice to look at not the things that are triggering you, but look for the things that people are doing right that you value. And in doing that, you open the door to a possibility that if they're doing something wrong that you want them to fix, then they'll trust you enough to listen to you, right?
Yeah.
But you have to do it 10, 15, 100 times,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
You have
hundreds
to
and
be able
hundreds
to
of
say,
times.
"Hey, I'm seeing that you're doing something well that I value. Good job."
I
And
wished I could leave at 5 o'clock every day. Tell me your secret.
you know, like that, right?
Tell me your secret,
How
because
do you
I
get out?
see you doing it and
How do
it
you
inspires me.
right now? How do you do all your work in that amount of time?
Yeah,
That's a
because you're always delivering.
right. I can't seem to do
I
that.
can't seem to do that,
That's a
right?
way to spot and have a real honest
That's a
conversation.
conversation.
Yeah,
See, at that point, that employee may have said, "I do find that
that's a
you
good
don't
point.
delegate great."
Yeah, it could be
Right?
like that.
So this is what Dovico is all
Okay,
about. It's
okay.
about the
Can we just
conversation.
stay there for a second? That's
Yeah.
interesting, and we're gonna stop here. But it's just the interesting thing. As soon as you said that, you're opening yourself up to, oh, I need to fix something as a boss,
I'm
and
fallible.
and
I
that's
need
the
some help.
and that's the scary part for an individual is getting feedback. So
Yeah.
this is why people are afraid to have a conversation because if you open the conversation, you're more likely to get something that you don't want. But then you don't get what you want by forcing people to do something. They're either going to leave or they're going to buck to you or they're going to, if they bend to your needs, then you're going to get a sick employee. You're going to get an employee that is not motivated to work. That's not going to stick around for a long time. they're going to leave.
It's a crushing conversation.
It is a crunchy conversation.
It's a crushing conversation. There's no room in your leadership style, your management style. I hate that. You can't manage people, but there's no place in your leadership style that you should be looking down at anybody. I don't care if they're the worst employee you've ever had. How can you enlighten? How can you enlighten? How can you be kind?
No.
How can you make sure that that person isn't good for this space and they need to go on to find their joy? That's your job.
So how many times do you practice? Like, do you practice kindness once and it kind of is like you're done?
No, it's continuous. It's a continuous practice. So this no reaction is a big part of kindness.
It is.
That's a huge part of kindness. Not being attached to an outcome is a huge part of kindness.
So if you look at, we're going to go back to the post that from Pastor Dundee, which I love her name, by the way. Like, she was being kind, and kindness is an act of consciousness. It's rising above your emotion, above your reacting time, above your attachments, and above yourself. Letting go of the ego and saying, okay, how would kindness show up here? It's not about them changing, it's about you changing. And then going back to is if you want to be a leader that understands yourself so you can understand others, well, kindness is a great way to do that. If you can rise above it and be conscious of, oh, I can be kind here.
Yeah.
I can hold the door even if you don't say thank you. Like, these are acts of kindness.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Don't look for transactional, right? Just open the door. You don't need a thank you for it. And move on. Don't be attached to the outcome.
Like, my grandson,
Yeah.
this is like, it's not the snowboarding that I remember yesterday. Is that he opened the door for someone every single time he went to that lodge.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Every single time.
Yeah.
Act of kindness. He didn't have to do it, but he
Of course
did it.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what you
That's-
saw in him, you
That's
saw
leadership right there for me.
that is leadership right there. You have to start someplace, and leadership has to be wrapped up in kindness. If you believe it's wrapped up in control, you're going to be defeated every time. You're going to have a really tough life. So we would love for you to be in that space of learning about you and loving yourself. See, that's a big part of it. If you like you, you are able to love on others so much easier. So
Okay.
this is, we're going to wrap it up. This is the end of our Mindset Monday. Don't be ego driven out there. Don't be that leader that doesn't love on others. Don't be that leader that doesn't understand kindness. Figure it out. Reach out to Yves and I. We're here always for you. Always. I'm Shelley Butler,
I'm Yves Doucet.
and this has been Mindset Monday. Love you. Get your workout in. And how are you showing up?